A Vermont janitor earning $22,000 a year quietly died with over $8 million in the bank, outsmarting Wall Street, Harvard MBAs, and everyone who ever said you need a high salary to get rich. Ronald Reed's secret: it is not impossible luck, and anyone still stuck living paycheck to paycheck is closer to millionaire status than they think, with one crucial formula. The strategy that changed his future is hiding in your monthly bank statement. Why does almost nobody see it? Every paycheck, the same math runs in the background, no matter how much you earn. Take your income, subtract your expenses, and what is left is your cash flow. That is the real engine of wealth. Morgan Housel puts it simply: true wealth is money you do not spend. It is the car you did not buy, the vacation you skipped, the extra dollars sitting quietly in your account. Imagine someone earning $5,000 a month. If they spend every cent, there is nothing left to invest, no matter how high the salary. But if they spend $4,500, that extra $500 is not just spare change, it is the seed of financial freedom. The trick is not finding a secret investment or landing a giant raise. It is making sure there is always something left over. That is the formula Ronald Reed used, and it works whether you are earning $2,000 or $20,000 a month. The difference between broke and building wealth starts with this simple equation. Saving just a little more can change everything. Take someone earning $65,000 a year. If they save 10% of their income, it could take nearly 4 decades to reach financial freedom. But bump that savings rate up to 15%, and suddenly the finish line moves closer by about 7 to 10 years. That is a whole extra chapter of life where you are working because you want to, not because you have to. The difference is just 5 cents of every dollar. Meanwhile, the average American household spends over $15,000 a year on things that are not essential: restaurants, entertainment, shopping, lifestyle upgrades. Even small habits add up. Spending $173 a month on takeout does not feel like much in the moment, but over time that money left invested could grow into hundreds of thousands of dollars. The real power is not in earning more, but in deciding to keep more. It is about shifting just a few choices and letting compounding do the heavy lifting. Pick your number. If you want to reach $1 million by age 65, the math gives you a clear monthly target. Start at age 20. You only need to set aside $204 a month, with your savings increasing 2% each year. Think of it as a small raise to your savings every January. Wait until age 30, and now you need $443 a month. Start at 40, and the number jumps to $1,030 a month. Put it off until 50, and you are looking at $2,795 a month. All these numbers assume a 7% average annual return, and that you increase your contributions a little each year. The lesson is simple. The earlier you start, the less you have to save each month. Find your starting age, circle your number, and make it your goal. That is your personal millionaire target. No guesswork, just math. Now imagine that number flowing automatically into your investments every month, hands off. Automation is the real game changer for building wealth, especially if you don't want to rely on willpower every payday. The simplest system works like this. Set up 3 separate accounts, one for bills and essentials, one for your savings and investments, and one for spending on whatever you want. Every time your paycheck hits, split it up right away. Bills and rent get their share, your savings and investments get theirs, and the rest is for fun or extras. The key is to make these transfers automatic. Set them up to run on the same day your paycheck arrives. Behavioral research shows people are far more likely to save when the money moves itself. It is called the default effect. If saving is the default, you will do it without even thinking. That is how people with average salaries end up with above average results. Your checking account becomes the launch pad for all your financial goals. Essentials like rent, utilities, and groceries go out first. Whatever you have decided to save or invest moves to your savings or brokerage account as soon as the deposit lands. The leftover cash in your discretionary account is yours to spend guilt-free because the important stuff is already handled. If you want to bump up your savings rate, just tweak the transfer amount. No need to budget every coffee or movie ticket. The magic is in making saving and investing something that happens in the background. not something you have to remember or debate every month. This approach turns your savings target into an automatic habit. The sooner you set up the system, the sooner your money starts working for you. Over time, these small, regular transfers are what fuel your investments and eventually your financial freedom. It is not about discipline or sacrifice. It is about removing the friction so you can build wealth on autopilot. Most people think a bigger paycheck is the only ticket to wealth, but the real accelerator is adding just one more stream of income. Tom Corley spent 5 years studying hundreds of self-made millionaires and found that the vast majority did not come from wealth. About 3/4 started in poor or middle-class families. What set them apart was not luck or inheritance, it was the habit of building more than one way to earn. Corley's research shows that nearly all self-made millionaires have multiple income sources, usually 3 or more. Some have rental properties, side businesses, or investment dividends. Others pick up freelance gigs, weekend work, or online sales. The common thread is simple: they never rely on a single paycheck. Ronald Read is a textbook example. He worked as a janitor and a gas station attendant, but he also funneled his savings into stocks. That second stream, dividends, turned out to be the real engine behind his $8 million. You do not need to launch a business empire or juggle 7 jobs. Even a small side hustle can make a massive difference. Imagine picking up just $100 a week from tutoring, rideshare driving, or selling crafts. That's $5,200 a year. Invested consistently over 30 years at a 7% return, that little extra grows to over $500,000. It is not about working yourself into the ground. It is about letting every dollar you earn start working for you. Most millionaires are not born into money. They build it by widening the flow, first through their main job and then by adding new streams, no matter how small. The sooner you start, the more powerful the effect. The goal is not to hustle forever, but to stack the odds in your favor. With each new stream, your financial timeline speeds up and your dependence on any one job shrinks. That is how ordinary people on ordinary salaries tip the math in their favor and build extraordinary wealth. Ronald Read's fortune did not come from one lucky stock or a wild bet. He owned shares in 95 different companies, spreading his money across banks, railroads, consumer brands, and utilities. That is textbook diversification, so when one company stumbled, the rest kept moving forward. Meanwhile, most people chasing quick wins in the market end up losing money. Studies show that about 90% of day traders walk away with less than they started. Ronald ignored the hype and stuck to buying pieces of real businesses for the long haul. Compounding took care of the rest, working quietly in the background. Think of the old story about the chessboard and the rice. If you double a single grain on each square, by the time you reach the end, you have enough rice to fill a kingdom. Warren Buffett's track record proves the point. More than $84 billion of his net worth of $84.5 billion accumulated after he turned 50. That is the power of patience and of letting your money multiply. Ronald Read's portfolio didn't just grow, it survived. Over 6 decades, he held steady through 11 market crashes and bear markets. While others panicked, sold low, or tried to guess the right moment to jump back in, Ronald kept buying and holding. Academic research backs him up. 96% of long-term stock market gains come from less than 1% of trading days. Miss just the 10 best days in the market and you lose 2/3 of your potential gains. Ronald did not try to outsmart the calendar. He stayed invested, rain or shine. When Lehman Brothers collapsed in 2008, it wiped out investors who bet everything on one stock. Ronald's portfolio of 95 stocks took a hit, but it kept moving forward. He protected himself not just with patience, but with knowledge. He spent hours at the local library reading the Wall Street Journal for free. That habit gave him the confidence to ride out storms and avoid costly mistakes. Every year, nearly half of Americans say they could not cover a $400 emergency. But the math behind wealth has not changed. It just waits for someone willing to use it. The difference is not luck or background. It is what you do next. Your future balance sheet starts now,